The sterile white room hummed, a symphony of subtle sounds that spoke of life and fragility. The air was crisp, filtered, and devoid of the sense of the outside world, replaced by the faint clinical odor of antiseptic, with the quiet, rhythmic beeping of machines. Each beep, a pulse, a confirmation of continued existence, a digital heartbeat echoing in the otherwise silent space. Monitors flickered with complex waveforms, displaying vital signs in a language only the trained eye could decipher. For 3 weeks, Michael had been lost in a coma, a silent, still figure adrift in the uncharted waters of unconsciousness. His body lay motionless, a vessel waiting for its captain to return. His family keeping vigil, hope fading with each passing day. They sat by his bedside, their faces etched with worry, their eyes searching for any sign, any flicker of recognition that might signal his return. The weight of unanswered prayers hung heavy in the air. Doctors had done all they could, their expertise exhausted, their knowledge pushed to its limits. They had run every test, administered every treatment, and consulted with specialists from around the globe. Now, they waited, alongside the family, sharing in their quiet desperation. The sterile environment amplified the tension, each breath held, each whispered prayer a testament to their unwavering hope. The world outside moved on, oblivious to the drama unfolding within those walls. Cars rushed by, people hurried along sidewalks, their lives continuing uninterrupted, a stark contrast to the suspended reality inside the hospital room. Unaware of the mystery about to unfold, a twist of fate that would challenge everything they thought they knew about the human mind. The room held its breath, poised on the precipice of the inexplicable. On an ordinary Tuesday, a day like any other, the universe decided to rewrite Michael's story. The date on the calendar seemed insignificant, yet it marked the beginning of an extraordinary event. Michael's eyelids fluttered, a subtle tremor that hinted at a stirring within. It was a fragile movement, easily missed, but it was there, a spark of life igniting in the darkness. A nurse noticed first, a flicker of life, a subtle change in the rhythm of his breathing, a twitch of his fingers. Her years of experience had trained her to recognize these minute signs, the whispers of the body trying to communicate. Doctors gathered, their footsteps echoing in the hallway as they rushed to his bedside. The atmosphere crackled with anticipation, a mixture of hope and cautious skepticism. And family gathered, their hearts pounding in their chests, their eyes fixed on Michael's face. They held their breath, praying for a miracle, for the return of the man they loved. As Michael's eyes opened, unfocused, struggling to adjust to the light, his pupils dilated, searching for something familiar in the unfamiliar surroundings. He tried to speak, his throat dry and scratchy, his vocal cords unused for weeks. The effort seemed to strain him, but he persisted, driven by an unknown force, his voice raspy from disuse, a mere whisper that barely carried across the room. It was the sound of a man returning from a long journey, his voice weakened, but his spirit unbroken. His wife leaned in, her ear close to his lips, straining to catch every syllable. She held his hand tightly, her touch a lifeline connecting him to the world. Expecting confusion or pain, perhaps a slurred greeting or a question about where he was. She braced herself for the long road to recovery, the challenges of rehabilitation, the uncertainty of what lay ahead. But the words that broke the silence shattered all expectations, defying logic and reason. The air in the room seemed to thicken, charged with an inexplicable energy. Were not English the language of his life, his family, his very identity? A collective gasp filled the room, a wave of disbelief washing over everyone present. Instead, Michael spoke a string of melodic syllables, a language unknown to anyone in the room, a cascade of sounds that seemed both alien and strangely familiar. Nizai Nali, the phrase, "Where are you?" was spoken in flawless Mandarin, with a perfect accent and intonation that suggested years of fluency. Shock rippled through the room, a visible tremor that shook the foundations of their understanding. The impossible had happened, a reality that defied explanation. Michael had never studied Mandarin, never shown any interest in Chinese culture, never even met anyone who spoke the language. It was as if a foreign entity had taken residence within his mind. The doctors exchanged bewildered glances. Their medical training offered no explanation for this bizarre phenomenon. They were faced with a mystery that transcended the boundaries of science. The nurse froze, her hand still hovering over the monitor, her mind struggling to reconcile what she was seeing and hearing with the reality she knew. His wife stared, her eyes wide with disbelief, her face a mask of confusion and fear. The man lying in the bed looked like her husband, but the voice that came from his lips was that of a stranger, unable to process what she was hearing, unable to reconcile the familiar face with the foreign tongue. Her world had been turned upside down in a single, incomprehensible moment. It was as if a stranger had woken up, wearing Michael's face, speaking with Michael's voice, but thinking in a language he had never known. In her husband's body, a chilling realization that sent shivers down her spine. The man she loved was there, yet somehow he was also gone. Neurologists were called in, specialists in the intricate workings of the brain, hoping to unravel the mystery of Michael's sudden linguistic transformation. Linguists were called in, experts in the structure and evolution of language, eager to study this unique case of acquired fluency. Michael continued to speak Mandarin, his words flowing effortlessly, his thoughts expressed with a clarity that belied his recent return from the depths of unconsciousness. Frustrated that no one understood, his gestures becoming more animated, his voice rising in desperation as he tried to communicate his needs and his confusion. "Wo xiang hui jia, I want to go home." His plea echoing in the sterile room, a desperate cry for familiarity and comfort. His plea lost in translation, a poignant reminder of the communication barrier that separated him from his loved ones. The hospital room became the epicenter, not just of medical attention, but of intense scientific curiosity, a focal point for researchers and experts from various fields. Of a profound enigma, a mystery that challenged the very limits of human understanding and raised questions about the nature of consciousness itself. A man had returned from the brink, defying the odds, a testament to the resilience of the human spirit and the power of modern medicine. But with a voice not his own, a voice from nowhere, a voice that spoke of a life he had never lived, a world he had never known. The question remained, where did this voice come from, and what did it mean for Michael's future? Before the accident, life unfolded with a comforting rhythm for Michael. Michael was, in many ways, the quintessential ordinary Midwestern architect. He wasn't chasing fame or fortune, but rather a sense of quiet accomplishment. He built his life on blueprints, meticulously drafted plans that transformed into tangible realities. Each line, each angle, carefully considered and precisely executed. Concrete and routine. The solid, dependable foundation upon which he constructed not just buildings, but his entire existence. He loved his wife, with a quiet, unwavering devotion that had deepened over years of shared experiences. His children, watching them grow and discover the world, filled him with a profound sense of purpose and the comfort of predictability. There was a certain solace in knowing what each day would bring, a sense of security in the familiar. His passions were simple, the kind that grounded him and connected him to his community. Little League, coaching his son's team, and imparting the values of teamwork and sportsmanship. Backyard barbecues filled with laughter, the aroma of grilled food, and the easy camaraderie of friends and family. And gardening. He found peace in nurturing life, watching seeds sprout and blossom into vibrant colors. Language was just a tool, a means to an end, not an end in itself. He spoke only English, and it had always sufficed. 2 years of high school Spanish had left him with little more than hola, a distant echo of a language never truly embraced. He'd never traveled abroad, content within the familiar borders of his own country. Never studied another language, never felt the pull to explore the nuances of different cultures through their native tongues. Never shown interest in foreign cultures. The world beyond his own seemed distant and irrelevant. His world was English, a comfortable, self-contained universe, books filled with familiar narratives and characters, music, the soundtrack to his life, sung in the language he understood, movies, all in his native tongue, entertainment that reinforced his worldview. Michael's mind was organized, a place for everything and everything in its place, with no room for the unfamiliar. He preferred the known, the predictable, the safe. He was, by all accounts, monolingual and content, a man perfectly at ease in his own linguistic and cultural skin. Yet now, everything had changed. The man who lay in the hospital bed, weak and disoriented, spoke fluent Mandarin, a language utterly foreign to the Michael he once knew. The foundation of his identity had been shaken to its core, leaving him adrift in a sea of unfamiliar sounds and sensations. The accident had not just broken his body but shattered his very sense of self. It happened on a seemingly ordinary rainy Thursday, a day that began like any other. No one could have foreseen the tragic turn it would take, the life-altering event that was about to unfold. Michael was driving home after a long day at work, his mind already drifting to weekend plans, family time, and maybe catching up with old friends. He was looking forward to a relaxing couple of days. The highway was slick with rain, making the road treacherous. Visibility was severely limited, even with the windshield wipers working at full speed, battling against the downpour. Suddenly, without warning, a large truck hydroplaned on the waterlogged surface. The driver fought to regain control, but the massive vehicle jackknifed violently, careening directly into Michael's lane. There was no time to react, no opportunity to swerve or brake. The truck was upon him in an instant, a metal behemoth hurtling towards his small sedan. The impact was catastrophic, a brutal collision of steel and glass. The force of the crash was immense, sending shockwaves through both vehicles. Metal crumpled like paper, glass shattered into a million pieces, scattering across the rain-soaked asphalt. The air filled with the acrid smell of gasoline and burning rubber. First responders arrived on the scene to a chaotic tableau of flashing lights and blaring sirens. They described the scene as one of the worst they'd seen in their careers, a testament to the sheer violence of the crash. It took nearly an hour of painstaking work, using the jaws of life and other specialized equipment to carefully free Michael from the mangled wreckage of his car. He miraculously survived the initial impact, but he had sustained a severe traumatic brain injury, the extent of which was still unknown. The damage was centered on the left temporal lobe, a critical area of the brain responsible for language processing, memory, and auditory functions. For 3 long, agonizing weeks, he lay in a deep coma, his life hanging in the balance, sustained only by machines. His family waited anxiously, their hopes and fears intertwined, his future uncertain and shrouded in doubt. Doctors warned of potential memory loss, cognitive deficits, and a long, arduous road to recovery, if he recovered at all. Or worse, they cautioned, preparing the family for the possibility that he might never regain consciousness, or that he might suffer permanent and debilitating impairments. No one, not even the most experienced medical professionals, could have predicted the bizarre and unexpected turn of events that would unfold when he finally woke up. The accident hadn't just broken his body, leaving him battered and bruised. It had fundamentally rewritten his mind, altering the very fabric of his being in ways no one could have imagined. Michael's case, while rare, is not unique. Throughout history, there have been reports of people waking from trauma speaking languages they never learned. In 2013, Ben McMahon, an Australian, awoke from a coma speaking fluent Mandarin. A Croatian teenager after a coma spoke only German, a language she barely knew. Some cases involve music or other skills suddenly acquired. These phenomena are called foreign accent syndrome, or more rarely, xenoglossy. Each story challenges our understanding of memory and identity. They force us to ask, where does this knowledge come from? The brain is a universe of complexity. Trauma disrupts its networks, but the brain's neuroplasticity allows it to reroute and adapt. One theory, languages we're exposed to, even passively, are stored in dormant memory. A brain injury might reboot the system, activating these hidden files. Damage to the left hemisphere could force reliance on the right, altering speech or even unlocking latent language skills. But this theory struggles to explain sudden fluency in a language like Mandarin with no clear exposure. Science offers frameworks, but the evidence is thin. Neuroplasticity is powerful, but can it build a new language from fragments? The mystery remains unsolved. Picture your native language as a superhighway in the brain. A foreign language is a faint, overgrown path. Trauma can destroy the superhighway, forcing the brain to find alternate routes. Sometimes, it clears the old path, making it the new main road. This could explain why Michael lost English, but gained Mandarin. The English network was damaged. The Mandarin path, however faint, remained. But how was that path built? Science suggests possibilities: unconscious learning, cryptomnesia, or early childhood exposure. Perhaps Michael absorbed Mandarin as a toddler, memories buried deep. The accident may have unlocked a forgotten linguistic ghost. When science reaches its limits, we turn to other ideas. Reincarnation suggests the soul carries knowledge from past lives. Michael's Mandarin might be a memory from a previous existence. Trauma could unlock these deep-seated memories. Many cultures embrace this idea. Some children recall past lives and languages. For Michael's wife, this explanation offers comfort. A narrative where science has only questions. The whisper of a past life gives meaning to the inexplicable. Beyond science and spirituality lies the realm of the unexplained. Could there be a collective unconscious, as Jung proposed, where all human knowledge resides? Perhaps trauma allows access to this universal pool, making any language possible. Some speculate about genetic memory, ancestral experiences encoded in our DNA. These ideas are speculative, but cases like Michael's push us to consider them. The phenomenon challenges our understanding of memory, identity, and consciousness. The mind may be part of a much larger, mysterious tapestry. Michael is home, relearning English, his native tongue. Mandarin remains, a fluent ghost that emerges under stress. He lives between two languages, two worlds. Doctors study him, but answers are elusive. His story forces us to question the nature of identity. If a language can appear from nowhere, what defines who we are? Are we our memories, our bodies, our language, or something more? Michael's journey leaves us with questions, not answers. He is a living question mark, a key to a door we never knew existed. The final answer, it seems, is still waiting to be discovered.